Okay, hi, it's Emily Williams again, and today we are going to read a piece called Le Charme by Ernest Chausson. It's a simple little art song that it's not really a huge increase as far as difficulty in notes and rhythms from what we've been reading so far, but there's a level of difficulty involved in tempo changes and just small little things we need to be aware of while we're reading, right? So let's go ahead and look at the piece. So just like we've always started, key signature, time signature, tempo markings. So we are in the key of G major, but notice we're starting on the 5. If I were to go flip through to the end, up too far, to the end of the piece, we really do end in G major, but the piece is starting on the 5. So we have F sharps all the way through. My pages don't want to turn fast, I'm sorry. Our time signature is 4/4, and our tempo is moderato con molto. So we're not going to go too slowly. We are going to be, pretty moderate, but it also has to have a sense of motion to it. I usually like to start this piece. See about there. 1, 2, T, 4, and 1, 2, T. Sorry, I didn't turn the page for you. Things to be aware of. Like I said, there's little things in this piece, little tempo markings. So if I turn the page, already within the first, 5 or 6 bars of the piece, I already have a tempo marking. And of course, we are in French music, so my tempo markings are in French. So un peu plus lent is a little bit slower, a little bit more slow. And within the next bar, we have another holding back. And that goes all the way through. I just want to make sure you can see. And that goes all the way through with a retard into the tempo 1, right? So within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars of this page, maybe within the first 10 bars of the piece, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4 tempo changes, right? Or tempo adjustments that we need to be aware of. As far as what I want to make sure that my singer has, hang on. Sorry, my watch just freaked out. Someone's trying to call. I'm going to really want to make sure that my singer has these quarter notes in the left hand, right? The offbeats in my right hand aren't going to be really all that useful. And that is probably going to switch between hands through the majority of this piece, right? So the first bar, I want to make sure that I have the left hand. But by the second bar, I'm already with the singer, right? So it's going to go back and forth. I'm going to stay with my right hand, through the top. I'm going to stay with my right hand for a while. At this tempo 1, one of the things I've always loved is the melody is actually in the piano line. I do mirror the singer. It just is kind of in a roundabout way. Right? I always like to bring that out, but that's not necessarily for sight reading. We're getting ahead of ourselves. What else to look for? I've never liked that all of these ties are on a system change. That's always been hard for me. System changes are never great in the first place. So I want to make sure that I see what's coming, honestly, from the beginning of this tempo 1, right? Beware that my right hand is going to move down into the bass clef at the end of this. And again, at the bottom of the page, I have another little bit slower and another holding back before I turn the page. And at the top of the page, of course, on the page turn, I have a ritardando with 2 fermati, right? So that's gonna stop, and it's up to the singer. And I'm back to my left hand, right? I like that chord. Sorry. This tempo change right here this is probably a little bit overthought, but I feel like that G is a pickup into beat 3. Again, probably overthought, but let's see. If you do the charme, Charme, and 3 and 4 and 1. I like to include that in that tempo, but you could make a case. Actually, no, I take that back. I don't think you could make a case. It's part of the tempo change. For the rest of the piece, it's basically quarter notes. I mean, watch out for some ties. Your right hand jumps into the bass clef again for a bar. We get a little tonally crunchy on that system change, worth paying attention to. Otherwise, this little cool thing at the end is always fun because you just get to be just somehow fitted into the bar. I've always liked how that's written. But yeah, for the most part, this is actually an easier read from where we've been going. But there's a lot involved in being aware of the situation, being aware of your collaborator, being aware of a lot more than just the notes and rhythms. So let's go ahead and read the piece. Okay, so how'd it go? As always, as I'm going to say in every video I ever post, our next step is to, learn the piece, obviously, after we've sight read it. But then our next step is to sing as we play. If you don't know French, just da-da-da your way through. I have sung so many bad... I mean, my diction's pretty decent, but sometimes when I play and sing, it gets really bad and it's very funny. But the goal is really to feel the breath line, to see when a singer is going to need to breathe and how long that is going to take. And I can't do that without singing while I play, right? I have to get a good translation. And also, if I'm going to be coaching this piece, and honestly, if I'm going to be performing it, I wouldn't mind having some IPA and just being aware of what the sounds that the singer is going to be making should be, right? This version does have a nice little translation. It's not bad, but 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't necessarily trust the translation on the page, right? There's a lot of resources where you can find translations. I like LeaderNet. I have a book. If you have your friendly pianist coach, usually has a lot of textbooks with translations. I have Exploring Art Song Lyrics. That's the Sherry Montgomery, and I have the Bernard Coffin book that has a lot of translations in IPA. There's also Oxford has a decent translation site. There's a lot of places you can go, or you can use dictionary. The plus of a dictionary is you get to learn the words as you translate. Either way, our next steps are to find a translation, to find IPA, and to sing as we play. And I want to do that all before I meet my singer for their first rehearsal. Unless we are reading this together, that's all in my prep work, right? If you need a PDF of this piece or some IPA or some translations, speaking of, you can find those on my website, which is emilywilliamspianist.com. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you for our next piece.